You didn't tell me you spent that much." That's the first thing Kody says as he's staring across the kitchen at Robyn, his voice tight, like he's trying not to snap while the cameras are rolling. She fires back, "You weren't listening when I told you." You never listen. And for a split second, neither of them is the calm, united front they try so hard to present. It's raw, it's tense, it's the moment every viewer replayed twice. Because this isn't just another disagreeing deep-report. Something that's been creeping through their marriage since the other wives left. Hey everyone, welcome back. This week's episode of Sister Wives was a lot, and I mean a lot. We have Robyn and Kody openly clashing on camera. We have Maddie going into labor in what turns into one of the most emotional births the show has filmed in years. And we have Christine dealing with a financial situation she didn't expect to face this soon after the split. If you thought things were calming down after the wedding episode and all the fallout, nope, this one hit every pressure point the family's been avoiding. Now, the big focus tonight is Kody and Robyn. And honestly, the tension didn't even simmer. It boiled. There's money drama, past resentment showing through every look, and a moment where even the crew seemed confused about whether to keep filming. But the surprising part, this isn't just about the argument in the kitchen. There's a theory going around, one that started in fan groups but took off after this episode aired, that Kody's frustration has less to do with the specific expense Robyn made and more to do with the fact that the family's financial foundation isn't what it used to be. And for the first time, Robyn is starting to say things out loud that she used to only hint at off-camera. On the other side of the episode, there's Maddie, who is giving birth in the middle of all this chaos. Her story feels like a completely different world from the tension building in Flagstaff. Her scene brings relief and warmth, but it also highlights just how disconnected the Brown family has become. And then, of course, there's Christine. She's dealing with money issues that she didn't expect, and she's starting to realize that breaking away from Kody emotionally is only half the battle. The financial part, that's turning out to be its own storm, and each of these storylines secretly ties back to the same question: what's really going on with the Brown family money? So let's start with the moment everyone keeps talking about, the kitchen argument. This wasn't one of those playful misunderstandings they sometimes throw in for filler. This was sharp. It had history behind it. You could feel it in the way Robyn's voice dropped and in the way Kody tried to mask his anger with that tight smile he does when he's losing control. At first glance, it looks like a simple fight about spending. But honestly, when have the Browns ever had a simple money conversation? This family has always used finances as a pressure valve. When emotions get too real, the money talk comes out, and that's exactly what happened here. The theory people are tossing around right now is that Robyn and Kody aren't actually fighting about the numbers she spent. They're fighting because their financial system doesn't work the way it used to. When they were all together, Christine, Janelle, Mary, everyone contributing, they had multiple income sources, multiple households balancing one another out. But now, it's just Kody and Robyn trying to keep the same lifestyle, with a fraction of the support. And the weight of that has finally hit them. Robyn brings it up in her confessional without saying it directly. She talks about feeling cornered and isolated, and she mentions how she doesn't want the world to think she pushed the other wives out, but she also doesn't want to be blamed for the mess Kody is in now. You can tell she's protecting herself in real time. There's this moment where she hesitates before finishing a sentence, almost like she's debating how honest she's allowed to be. Meanwhile, Kody is doing what he always does when he feels like the walls are closing in. He blames logistics. He blames timing. He blames communication. He'll blame anything before he blames the actual issue. And that's what made this scene feel different. Because for once, Robyn didn't soften it. She didn't backpedal or try to soothe him. She pushed back. This is the earliest episode where you can really see the cracks on camera instead of just hearing about them from the other wives. And honestly, it makes sense. Kody went from juggling 4 marriages to clinging on to one that's now carrying the weight of everything the others left behind. That pressure, it's spilling out. And the money conversation was just the doorway it escaped through. After the kitchen argument sets the tone, the episode shifts, but the tension follows. Even when they cut to Maddie preparing for her birth, you can still feel the shadow of what just happened with Kody and Robyn. It's like the show is trying to give us a breather, but the energy from Flagstaff keeps bleeding through the screen. Before Maddie even goes into labor, she talks about how disconnected everything feels. She's calm and focused, but you can tell she's aware of the chaos back home. She mentions that she doesn't expect her dad to show up, not because of schedule issues, but because things are complicated. And when a brown child says things are complicated, we all know what that really means. It means the emotional side of the family is buried under tension. No one wants to talk about. But here's the interesting part. Maddie's storyline almost exposes the family cracks more than the argument does. This birth isn't happening in a vacuum. It's happening in a family that's breaking apart while trying to pretend they're still connected. And honestly, that contrast is one of the strongest pieces of storytelling this season. Kody and Robyn fighting about money, fear, and responsibility. On the other side, a new life coming into the world, far away from all of that mess. This episode almost feels like showing two different versions of the Brown family, one that's growing and one that's falling apart. When they cut back to Robyn and Kody after showing Maddie settling into the hospital room, the energy is completely different. Robyn keeps circling back to the argument. She says she doesn't feel supported. She says she's trying to keep the family together. She says she feels like everything is being put on her shoulders. And here's the part people are talking about: she's not crying. Robyn always cries, but not here. Instead, she's frustrated. She's tired. She's done trying to hold her words back. She tries to explain that she spent the money because things needed to get done, and Kody jumps in with, "You should have talked to me first." It's the same old dynamic. He wants control. She wants clarity, but it hits harder now, because it's happening without the buffer of the other wives. This episode makes something clear: they're not a unified couple dealing with outside stress. They're two people holding on to the last piece of a structure that's already collapsed, and the cracks keep widening. Now, let's zoom in on the real heart of this episode: Robyn and Kody's clash. It's more than a disagreement. It's almost a power struggle. And the camera catches every subtle glance, every pause, every word that isn't said out loud. Robyn's frustration is layered. On the surface, it's about spending. But if you watch carefully, you'll notice how often she references fairness and responsibility. It's not just about the money, Kody, she says, and she means it. She's talking about the emotional labor she's been carrying for years. She's talking about decisions that used to be shared with 4 wives and now rest solely on her shoulders. Kody, on the other hand, has this defensive stance that's familiar. He's the one trying to assert control without actually solving the problem. And that's a pattern we've seen for decades. He wants Robyn to defer to him, to validate his authority, even as he struggles to understand why she feels stressed and overburdened. Here's the twist, though. There's a theory that's been circulating online, and it actually makes a lot of sense. Some fans think that Kody's frustration isn't just about Robyn. It's about the absence of the other wives. He's not used to managing finances and emotions without the cushion of multiple perspectives. Robyn is the first one he's had to face as an equal partner, not someone who mirrors his decisions. And she's not mirroring, she's challenging him. The dynamic is almost textbook if you think about it. The leader of a previously large system suddenly loses his support network. He's scrambling to maintain authority, but his methods are outdated. And the person standing in front of him, Robyn, is now calling him out. And she does it subtly. She doesn't raise her voice. She doesn't scream. She doesn't cry. She just states facts and expectations. And that hits harder than any outburst. The tension peaks when Kody says something along the lines of, "I can't believe you did this without telling me," and Robyn shoots back, "You think I'm not trying? You think I don't care?" That's the moment where the cameras capture a shift. It's not just a disagreement, it's a small fracture in what's left of their unity. The scene ends with neither of them really conceding. Robyn walks away, but not in defeat. She's making a statement. And Kody, for the first time in years, doesn't know how to respond. The silence that follows is louder than any argument we've seen on Sister Wives before. This isn't just about money. It's about trust, control, and ultimately, survival. While Kody and Robyn are navigating tension, the episode shifts to Maddie, and honestly, the contrast is striking. The cameras follow her to the hospital, and for a moment, all the chaos back home seems to fade there, a quiet intensity, a focus that tan almost meditative, which makes the family drama feel even heavier in comparison. Maddie and Burr's scene isn't just a milestone. It's a mirror showing what the Browns used to be capable of. Unity, care, excitement over life and moments. You can see the relief on her face when the medical team reassures her. The gratitude, the vulnerability, it's raw, and the audience can't help but feel that contrast between this warmth and the cold tension building between Kody and Robyn. And here in the kicker, even as she's surrounded by loved ones, Maddie isn't blind to the family fractures. In a confessional, she admits, I just want everyone to be happy, but it feels like there's always some tension hovering. She young, but she perceptive. She knows that her arrival should be a joyful, connecting moment. Yet the undercurrents are impossible to ignore. There's also a theory that her birth actually exposes a deeper dynamic. Some fans are speculating that Maddie's milestone serves as a stress test for the family. With Robyn and Kody already on edge, introducing a new life into the fold, even a grandchild, forces every unresolved tension into the spotlight, and the cameras don't edit that away. Every glance, every quiet sigh is captured. Meanwhile, Robyn watches from home through FaceTime calls, taking updates, and you can tell the emotions are mixed. She's happy for Maddie, proud even, but there and also a subtle undertone of comparison. She witnessing the family operate as a unit that Kody is anew fully supporting. This episode does something unusual. It balances conflict with intimacy. While Kody and Robyn are clashing. Maddie and birth provides a moment of tenderness that keeps you feel joy, relief, and heartbreak all in the same segment. By the time the episode cuts back to the kitchen, you're acutely aware of how stark the contrast is. In fact, it's almost as if the producers put Maddie's storyline here to juxtapose just what is lacking in Kody and Robyn's marriage: love, care, attention. The very things that birth and family are supposed to be representative of are all things Kody struggles to provide on a consistent basis. The birth became more than a personal milestone. It was the lens through which the audience saw exactly how fragile the relationships had become. Now let's talk about Christine, because her storyline this episode adds a calm. While Kody and Robyn are arguing about day-to-day expenses, Christine is staring at a problem that's been simmering under the surface for months. Money. She's candid about it in her confessional. I thought I had this under control, but things are more complicated than I expect, she admits. And you immediately see the stress in her face. Not the dramatic, teary kind, but the kind that weighs on someone quietly, gnawing at them until it can't be ignored. The theory fans have been discussing is that Christine's financial concerns are not just personal, they're systemic. She navigating the aftermath of separation from Kody while trying to maintain stability for herself and the kids. It's a reality check many viewers don't now always see. Being one of the XYs doesn't just impact emotional life, it reshapes everything, including finances, property, and even future planning. And here in the kicker, Christine confronting money issues in a way that forces the audience to consider Kody's role. She not calling him out on camera, but the subtext is clear. His decisions over the years, whether about property, family funds, or household priorities, ripple into her life now. Every choice Kody made in the plural family era has consequences she living with today. When she talks about bills, debts, and unexpected expenses, it's more than math. It's a confrontation with the lifestyle they all maintained under Kody's leadership. And while she trying to stay positive, the show carefully frames her expressions, showing a mix of frustration and determination. She not helpless, she figuring out a way forward, but she'd also giving the audience a glimpse of what life outside Kody and control looks like. Interestingly, the episode juxtaposes her money concerns against Maddie and birth and Kody, Robyn tension, Maddie and joyful, new life energy contrasts with Christine practical, stressful challenges, and Kody here, true wrapped up in the argument with Robyn to even notice what Christine is handling on her own. The family is fractured. Every member is facing their own battles, and the show is highlighting just how unbalanced things have become. It's been almost like the producers are saying money isn't they're just about bills, it's about power, control, and independence, and Christine's storyline is showing that independence comes with challenges, and for the cameras, it's a mirror of the consequences of their family structure. Finally catching up to them at this point in the episode, it becomes impermanence are unraveling. Kody and Robyn clash, Maddie birth, and Christine and money concerns all intersect in ways that highlight patterns we've been observing for seasons. Kody, as the central figure, is still holding on to habits that don't fit the current reality. He's used to having multiple wives who each had a role in diffusing stress, managing just Robyn, and Christine operating and depression. You see it in the pauses, the hesitation, the subtle gestures of frustration. Robyn, on the other hand, is asserting herself in ways she never did before. This isn't rebellion for the sake of drama, it's survival. She knows the family, where lifestyle depends on cooperation, but she's no longer willing to shoulder everything silently, and that shift is at the heart of the tension we see this week. Fans are theorizing that Maddie birth, while joyous, also highlights a subtle tension. It serves as a contrast to what's happening at home. Life continues, new chapters are being written, and yet Kody is still fighting battles that belong in the past. It almost symbolic, a new generation entering the world while the older generation struggles with unfinished conflicts. Christinian's story is another lens into the same pattern, her financial struggle. She navigating an environment where Kody decisions, or lack thereof, still reverberate through her life. There a growing realization that indiffer and nescient, and on camera we can see her weighing every choice carefully, calculating how to assert control over her finances. Each storyline amplifies the others, creating a layered narrative that goes beyond typical reality. TV arguments what the audience is witnessing is more than drama. It in a study of power, control, and adaptation, Kody, as the patriarch, is forced to navigate a world without the structures he relied on. Christine is discovering how to safeguard her autonomy. The episode effectively sets the stage for future confrontations and reveals, and it does so in a way that feels unpolished, authentic, and utterly compelling. One of the most striking parts of the stabilizing force in the Brown family. The wife who absorbs stress, smooths conflicts, and keeps the household running. But in this episode, she starts showing cracks. Not dramatic tears, not shouting matches, but subtle, meaningful moments that reveal her frustration and emotional exhaustion. It's clear that she trying to stay composed, but the tension is visible. Every glance at Kody during their argument feels loaded. Every pause speaks volumes, and it's uncomfortable for him. It challenges the control he accustomed to and forces him to confront the reality of relying on just one wife. After years of plural marriage, interestingly, Robyn approaches and confrontational in the traditional sense. She doesn't yell, she doesn't storm out. Instead, she uses facts, logic, and calm out. It the subtle power of a person who knows their worth and refuses to be overshadowed, and it works almost too well. You can see Kody hesitate, stumble over responses, and occasionally revert to patterns of defensiveness. The power dynamic is shifting, and it captured beautifully on camera. Meanwhile, Robyn also has to navigate the emotional weight of Maddie and birth. She's happy for her daughter, proud of her, but therein also this quiet acknowledgement of how different her own family experience is. Watching a birth, surrounded by support and love, forces her to reflect on the distance in her marriage and the evolving roles within the family. This episode highlights something of family reality. Here, the tension is subtle. It in the pauses, in the expressions, in the subtext, and Robyn is front and center in showing that you don't need screaming matches to make conflict compelling. Sometimes, quiet assertion speaks louder than words. By the end of her scenes, viewers are left with one undeniable truth. Robyn is no longer just a stabilizer. She's a force, and Kody may not know how to handle it. While Robyn asserts herself, Keating reactions are revealing. It is subtle, but anyone paying attention can see patterns forming. The way he tightens his jaw, the occasional sigh, the slight raise of his voice when he feels challenged. These are familiar traits we've seen in previous seasons, but now they amplify by the pressure of managing only one household. The theory circulating among fans is that Kody's defensiveness in just about the argument at hand. It about maintaining control in a world where he no longer surrounded by multiple wives to buffer criticism. With Robyn pushing back, he confronted directly with the limitations of his authority, something he hasn't had to deal with so openly in years. One of the most compelling moments arises when Kody tries to explain his perspective. He speaks of fairness, logistics, and responsibility, but his tone suggests and irritates. There ain't even a hint of why can things be like they used to, and that much keys this episode. Kody isn't reacting just to Robyn. He reacting to the dismantling of the family structure he depended upon. At the same time, the cameras catch how Robyn undermines his defenses without escalating conflict. She nods, she listens. She validates where appropriate, but she also makes clear she won't be dismissed. That balance is what makes this confrontation compelling. It did not about shouting matches. It about power, negotiation. And Robyn has the upper hand, and Christine's money struggles serve as a silent parallel, showing that Kody patterns affect more than just his current marriage. His attempts at control, maintaining the authority, the more he asserts control without listening, the more she has to step up, and the more visible her agency becomes. The camera captures this shift perfectly. Small gestures, quick responses, and moments of calm authority. At the end of the episode, Kody's reactions leave viewers with a sense of unease. He clearly struggling to navigate the new dynamics, and the cracks in his control are more visible than they have ever been. The tension between him and Robyn is no longer just about money or logistics. It is about power, emotional labor, and I'll let to dive deeper into Maddie and birth, because this is where the episode really hits an emotional high note. Unlike the arguments with Kody, this moment is pure human connection. Joy, anticipation, relief, and the raw reality of bringing new life into the world. And the way the producers frame it makes it feel almost cinematic, like the contrast between this scene and the ongoing tension at home. Is intentional, Maddie in labor is documented with every nuance captured. The calm before the contraction, the quick breath, the rein. And while she's surrounded by people who love her, they're in a quiet recognition that her family situation is complicated. She even admits in confessional, "I hope they can put aside differences for this moment." This is important because it subtly busts the difference between the older generation and the new. While Kody and Robyn are locked in their cycles of control, and frustrated, and Maddie is experimentation. She's surrounded by care and love, but she also aware that these moments won't fix deeper family tensions. In a theory some fans have been pointing out, Maddie in BRITH is acting as a mirror for Kody and Robyn. Watching her navigate such a personal gut experience may force them, consciously or unconsciously, to reflect on what they're doing at home. It is a quiet reminder that life continues, children grow, and relationships either adapt or collapse under the weight of unresolved issues. The scene itself is layered with tension and relief. When the baby finally arrives, they're in joy, tears, and a calm moments. Maddie glancing at her phone, wondering who's sharing at her phone, Little details make it feel incredibly real. What's fascinating is how the show juxtaposes this against the money and control drama, where Maddie's birth can be seen to represent creation, growth, and hope. The earlier conflicts with Kody and Robyn. The contrast propels the emotional core of this episode, and one cannot help but feel uplifted and uneasy at the same time. By the time the camera cuts back to Robyn and Kody, you can see the weight of this moment on her face. Subtle, yet she's reflecting and calculating and observing. And for viewers, it's a perfect reminder. The Browns' family drama will continue, but life doesn't wait for reconciliation or resolution. Let's return our focus back to Christine, because her money storyline and Robyn may be even more relatable for viewers. Christine has spent years managing her household and finances within the constraints of plural marriage, and now post-separation, she's forced to confront the compromises. In a confessional, she admits, "I didn't realize how much I relied on the family structure until it was there." That one sentence encapsulates a larger theme. Independence is liberating, but it also complicated. The show captures the subtle signs of her stress, counting bills, staring at spreadsheets, making phone calls, all of it framed in a way that feels real, not staged. Herein, where the narrative technique gets interesting, the producers juxtapose Christine's financial struggles with moments of Kody and Robyn arguing cabinet. Fans theorize that this juxtaposition is deliberate. By showing Christine managing the aftermath of the plural family financially, the audience sees a long-term consequence of Kody leaderships, while Robyn is dealing with immediate emotional stress. Christine is dealing with structural and systemic stress, skills, property management, and planning for her children's future. One of the most compelling moments comes when she talks about decisions she has to make that could affect her lifestyle and her children's instability. She doesn't blame anyone outright, but the subtext is clear. Kody's choices over the years ripple far beyond what he sees in the moment. The audience can almost feel the weight of unspoken grievances and long-term consequences in her expressions and tone. This episode also subtly highlights Christine's growth. She's learning to manage independence, and she's asserting control over her finances in ways that Kody and Robyn may not fully appreciate. It is not drama-driven, it is character-driven, and that is what makes it compelling. By the end of her storyline, viewers are left with a clear message. The Browns' family issues extend beyond arguments and jealousy. They have lasting practical implications, and Christine is navigating those with intelligence. Kody and Robyn in argument, Maddie at birth, and Christine's financial challenges are not isolated events. They are interconnected pieces of a larger family puzzle. The producers make this clear through careful editing, juxtaposition, and timing, highlighting the contrast between joy, tension, and practical struggle. The episode cleverly balanced P's tour. For example, Maddie in birth creates a backdrop of happiness and renewal, which in turn magnifies the frustration between Robyn and Kody. While one family member experiences new life, another battles old conflict. And the tension on Skinabatic, a master class in contrasting emotion. Meanwhile, Christine's financial stress serves as a silent reminder of Kody's long-term influence on the family. Her storyline doesn't compete with the emotional intensity of Robyn in Confrontation or Maddie at Birth. Instead, it bees the ripple effect of the family dynamics. Decisions made years ago are now playing out in real time, and decisions made years ago. One of the most striking aspects of this episode is how subtle gestures carry meaning. A glance from Robyn toward Kody, a quiet sigh from Christine as she reviews bills, or Maddie holding her newborn. These moments speak volumes. The show does not rely solely on dramatic arguments. It relies on these quiet, emotionally rich beats that draw viewers in and keep them engaged. Particularly effective, the producers allow tension to build organically, alternating between confrontations, intimate moments, the others creating a rhythm. Another layer to consider is the underlying commentary on family structure. The episode subtly examines how plural marriage, or the remnants of it, shapes relationships long after the original arrangement. The Browns are a family in flux. Each person is negotiating their role, responsibilities, and emotional boundaries, and the show captures that complexity beautifully. A messy, layered, and highly engaging its season finale episode like this. As we near the end of the episode, it's worth reflecting on what viewers are really taking away. This is just another episode of Sister Wives with predictable arguments or staged scenes. The combination of Robyn and Kody conflict, Maddie at birth, and Christine in financial struggles creates a layered amalgam. Kody in authority, Robyn in assertiveness, and Christine in independence are all deeply personal stories that reflect long-term consequences of shared history. Viewers can see how old patterns, habits, and unresolved tensions continue to shape relationships even when the family structure itself is changing. Maddie in Birth is a moment of pure celebration, but when juxtaposed against Robyn and Kody argument, it highlights what's missing in their relationship. Christine financial storyline adds yet another layer, reminding the audience that independence and survival often require confronting the very systems that once provided structure. Fane's analyzing the Ep8. The Browns are in a state of transition. Control, authority, and emotional labor are shifting, and each member of the family is negotiating their new role. Robyn is stepping up as a strong, assertive partner. Kody is confronting practical steps to reclaim autonomy, and Maddie in Birth serves as a subtle reminder that life and responsibility moves forward regardless of unresolved conflict. This episode also highlights storyline texts to keep viewers invested by weaving together multiple storylines, juxtaposing emotional highs and confessions. The show creates tension and intimacy. It is about understanding the consequences of long-term decisions, emotional labor, and family dynamics. Ultimately, the episode leaves viewers with both hope and unease. Maddie in Arrival symbolizes growth and renewal, but the ongoing conflicts between Kody, Robyn, and Christine remind us that some family issues aren't. The emotional resonance is what makes this episode stand out. It's messy, real, and deeply human. By the final scene, it's clear. The Browns are navigating a new reality, one in which old patterns clash with new expectations, and every decision has emotional, practical, and debating, which is exactly the engagement the show aims for. As the episode closes, the narrative threads converge, leaving the Browns at a clear crossroads. Kody and Robyn in clash highlights a shift in power dynamics. Maddie in Birth brings both joy and reflection, and Christine in financial concern, underforgetting in this episode, reminds viewers that this family isn't. Kody struggles to maintain control are more visible than ever. His defensiveness, subtle frustrations, and occasional inability to adapt serve as a lens through which viewers can see the consequences of decades of plural marriage. Meanwhile, Robyn in quiet assertiveness demonstrated complex families and emotion. It did a dynamic that feels authentic and engaging because it's grounded in reality rather than stage drama. Maddie in Birth, on the other hand, provides a counterpoint. A reminder that life and growth continue despite conflict. The joy and emotional depth captured in her storyline contrast sharply with the tension between Kody and Robyn, highlighting what's at stake when emotional labor and relationship responsibilities are unevenly distributed. This is where the show excels. It juxtaposes celebration with tension to make the narrative richer and more compelling. Christine's storyline reinforces the practical consequences of family dynamics. Her struggles with finances and independence illustrate that plural marriage, even after separation, leaves lasting impacts. The audience sees resilience in action. Christine is not only managing challenges, but asserting control over her life in ways Kody may have underestimated. It's a storyline that resonates with many viewers because it mirrors real-world challenges of autonomy, responsibility, and self-advocacy. Ultimately, this episode of Sister Wives leaves viewers reflecting on the complexity of family systems, emotional growth, and personal accountability. The combination of subtle gestures, confessional insights, and interwoven storylines creates a multi-layered narrative that's both entertaining and thought-provoking. The Browns are a family in transition. Old patterns clash with new realities, individual independence challenges long-standing authority, and emotional stakes are higher than ever. The episode ends not with resolution, but with anticipation, leaving viewers eager to see how these relationships will evolve in the coming episodes. It's a powerful reminder: family dynamics, especially in unique circumstances like the Browns, are never simple, and the consequences of choices, past and present, are far-reaching. In the end, the episode doesn't just tell a story, it invites the audience to analyze, theorize, and engage with the lives of the Browns on a deeper, more reflective level, and that's what keeps fans coming back.